Good morning, cadets. We were solving some numerical problems based on moving charges and magnetism. So let us solve some more problems. Today I have chosen the problem on a current carrying coil, a current carrying square coil. When a current carrying square coil or a rectangular coil, or for that matter even circular coil, kept in a magnetic field, it experiences a force. As a result of force, it will have a turning effect. When there is a turning effect of force, it is called as torque. Means a rectangular coil or square coil or even a circular coil carrying current kept in a magnetic field experiences a torque, because of which the coil undergoes turning motion or rotational motion. This is the principle of moving coil galvanometer. A current carrying coil kept in a strong magnetic field experiences a torque, and the torque experienced by the coil, the angle through which the coil turns, depends on the strength of the current. More the strength of the current through the coil, more is the turning effect, more is the angle through which it turns, and more is the deflection on the galvanometer scale. So principle of moving coil galvanometer is that a current carrying coil placed in a strong magnetic field experiences a torque, and the turning effect, the angle through which the coil turns, depends on the strength of the current. More the strength, more is the turning effect, more is the deflection of the pointer. If less amount of current flows, less deflection will be shown by the pointer because of less turning effect, less torque experienced by the coil. Let us see one example of this nature. A square coil of side 10 cm consists of 20 turns and carries a current of 12 amperes. The coil is suspended vertically and it's normal to the plane of the coil, makes an angle of 30 degree with the direction of uniform magnetic field. The magnetic field is acting horizontally. Uniform horizontal magnetic field of magnitude 0.8 Tesla. What is the magnitude of torque experienced by the coil? What is the magnitude of torque experienced by the coil? You can just write the normal to the plane. The normal to the plane. Yes, first of all you should understand the area vector of the coil. Suppose this is let us suppose that this is a square coil. A square coil consisting of some n number of turns. In this example, there are 20 turns. Symbolically, you can just draw a coil with some n number of turns, that is 20 turns. If it is kept in the plane of the board, then the normal, the perpendicular drawn to this plane, you can see this is the normal to the plane, which is outward normal, and this gives you direction of area vector. Area is considered as vector, and the area of this square we know, square of the side, square of the length, L square, or if you take a small a square is the area, that is magnitude, and the direction is perpendicular to this plane, so it is outward normal. If this is turned through 30 degree, then the normal also turn through same angle 30 degree. So to just show you, suppose this is a, let us suppose this is a rectangular coil. You can assume that this is a rectangular coil. Then the area vector of this rectangular coil is perpendicular to this outward normal, right? The outward normal is giving you direction of area vector. If this is turned, see, when it is turned through certain angle, when the coil is turned through certain angle, the normal also turns through same angle. If I am turning it by 60 degree, the normal also turns by 60 degree. If I am turning it by 90 degree, the normal also turns by 90 degree. If I am turning it by 180 degree, the normal also turns by 180 degree. So the angle through which the coil turns, by the same angle the area vector also turns, because area vector is perpendicular to the coil, plane of the coil. So in this example, magnetic field is acting horizontally and the area is turned through certain angle 30 degree. So I am just showing it. Suppose this is the direction of magnetic field, horizontal magnetic field. Area vector I am just showing of the coil, rectangular coil. This is how I show the orientation. This area vector is turned through certain angle, that is, this is the area vector of the coil and this is magnetic field and it is turned through 30 degree. So a coil of side 10 centimeter consists of 20 turns. So number of turns here, N is equal to 20. It carries a current I is equal to 12 amperes, current of 12 amperes. It is suspended vertically and the normal, it is suspended vertically like this, and the normal to the plane of the coil makes an angle of 30 degree, means the angle theta. This is what we take as theta. Angle between area vector and magnetic field vector, B vector, is 30 degrees. And the magnitude of magnetic field is given 0.8 Tesla. Magnetic field B, magnitude of magnetic field is 0.8 Tesla. What is the magnitude of torque experienced by the coil? So, using the knowledge of theory, torque experienced by current carrying coil in a magnetic field B, placed in the magnetic field B, torque tau is equal to NIA cross B, where N is the number of turns of the coil. If the coil has a single turn, if the coil doesn't have more number of turns, if it has only one turn, then it becomes IA cross B, where IA is the product of current and the area vector of the coil. IA cross B, right? And IA, the product of current element. Here it is not current element, here it is current area. This actually gives you magnetic moment. NIA gives you magnetic moment of current carrying coil. It is just like M cross B in case of a magnet being placed in an external magnetic field. If a dipole is placed in an external magnetic field, it experiences a torque. The torque experienced by a dipole placed in a magnetic field is given by dipole moment cross magnetic field, P cross B, where P is taken as dipole moment. So here the dipole moment of this current carrying coil is NIA cross B. So here anyhow he has asked to calculate only the magnitude, so need not to worry about the direction. So therefore magnitude of torque is equal to NIA B sin theta. NIA B sin theta, because cross product of A cross B gives you AB sin theta. Therefore, you get AB sin theta. Now just substitute the values of the particulars. Number of turns 20. The current is 12 amperes, and the area is, you see, each side is of length 10 centimeter. 10 centimeter is equal to 0.1 meter. So 0.1 square. So I write as 0.1 into 0.1, that is square of the length, into sin 30, where theta is 30 degree, angle between area vector and magnetic field vector. This is the magnetic field vector, and it is turned, the area is turned to 30 degree. If the area is held perpendicular, like this, if the area is held perpendicular, then the area vector and magnetic field vector are in the same direction. When the area vector and magnetic field vector are in the same direction, then the magnetic field, the torque experience will become 0. When the area vector and magnetic field vector are perpendicular to each other, then the torque experience will be maximum. This is how we calculate the torque experience. So torque tau is equal to NIAB sin theta, right? Sin theta is sin 30. Sin 30 is 1 by 2. So therefore torque tau is equal to 1 by 2 into 20 becomes 10. 10 into 12 into 0.01. So this becomes the torque. So 1 0 cancels here. So you are left with 12 into 0.1, that is 1.2 Newton. It experiences a torque of 1.2 joules. 1.2 joules. Right? As a result, it tends to rotate. And if this is the direction of current, it experiences a torque and it tends to turn further. The torque is having a tendency to rotate the coil. Now, in this case, if you look at it, it just depends on number of turns and depends on magnitude of area and the current. So the torque experienced by a coil depends on strength of magnetic field, strength of current, number of turns, magnitude of area, and the angle of orientation of the coil with respect to the magnetic field. It doesn't say anything whether it is a square coil or a rectangular coil or a circular coil. It just depends on the magnitude of area. So the torque doesn't depend on the shape of the coil, whether the coil is circular, square, rectangular. It is independent. It just depends on the magnitude of area and the orientation of area with respect to magnetic field. Okay. Now let us solve some more problems on moving coil galvanometer. A moving coil galvanometer is, in short, we write it as MCG, moving coil galvanometer. It is just a galvanometer that you might have seen in the laboratory. Is a current detector. It is a sensitive galvanometer. It is a sensitive meter. It is a sensitive device which just detects. It just detects the current. Whether the current is flowing through the circuit or not can be detected with the help of a device called as galvanometer. It doesn't measure how much is the current. Magnitude of current cannot be measured with the help of moving coil galvanometer. It is just used to detect the current, strength of the current. If more strength of current is flowing through the circuit, there will be more deflection. If less current is flowing, then there will be less deflection. Based on the amount of deflection of the pointer, we can just come to know whether the current through the galvanometer, the current through the circuit is of large magnitude or less magnitude. Okay. Now, this moving coil galvanometer, being a sensitive device just to detect the current, this moving coil galvanometer can be converted into voltmeter, it can be converted into ammeter, so that if it is converted into voltmeter, we can read the potential difference in a circuit, across a circuit, current carrying circuit, by proper calibration of the scale. So one can calibrate the scale to read the voltage, that is potential difference, by making use of moving coil galvanometer. How is a moving coil galvanometer converted into a voltmeter? Voltmeter is a device which is used to measure potential difference, right? So voltmeter is the one which should not take more current. When we connect a voltmeter across a resistor or across any device in the circuit, the current flowing through the voltmeter should be minimum. Voltmeter, it is always connected in parallel. So the current drawn by the voltmeter must be minimum. Therefore, a galvanometer can be converted into voltmeter by connecting a very high resistance. By connecting a very high resistance in series with the galvanometer, and this modified galvanometer acts as a voltmeter of particular required range. Let us solve one problem so that you will understand the meaning of conversion of a galvanometer into a voltmeter and conversion of a galvanometer into an ammeter. Okay. Look at this problem. A problem on conversion of galvanometer into voltmeter. A galvanometer coil has a resistance of 12 ohm. The galvanometer coil, the total resistance of the galvanometer coil is 12 ohm. We write it as capital G. And the meter shows full scale deflection for a current of 3 milliamperes. Suppose this is represented as G. It shows full scale deflection for a current of 3 milliamperes, means its sensitivity is there up to 3 milliamperes. The current that it can withstand, maximum current that it can withstand is 3 milliamperes. So that the deflection will be full. The deflection of the pointer will be full for 3 milliamperes of current. How do you convert this galvanometer into a voltmeter, which can have a range of 0 to 18 volts? As just now I have mentioned, a galvanometer can be converted into a voltmeter by connecting a very high resistance in series, a color coded resistance, carbon color coded resistance in series with the galvanometer circuit if it is connected, and the scale is properly calibrated so that it can read from 0 to 18 volts, then that becomes a voltmeter. So symbolically, if a very high resistance is connected in series with the galvanometer, let this high resistance be Rs and the galvanometer resistance be G, then this itself acts as this combination acts as a voltmeter. Now the required range is 0 to 18 volts. If it has to read 0 to 18 volts, how much must be the resistance? What should be the value of the series resistance, high resistance that is connected in series? Okay, the current that can be passed through is called as current through galvanometer, Ig. Ig is the current flowing through resistance Rs as well as galvanometer resistance G. Here G is the galvanometer resistance, which is equal to 12 ohm, and Ig is the current through galvanometer. Current through galvanometer is maximum current that can show full scale deflection is 3 milliamperes. Then if Rs is the high resistance, to be connected in series to convert galvanometer into voltmeter of range 0 to 18 volts. This is the range, required range. Then how to find out high resistance? It should be connected in series. Then look at the circuit. The circuit we can see here, IGRS plus IGG is equal to total potential difference across the ends. If ends are A and B, then the total potential difference across the ends AB becomes IGRS plus IGG, that is product of galvanometer current into high resistance and galvanometer current into galvanometer resistance. This sum gives us total potential difference. Then from the circuit I can write V is equal to V, that is the potential difference across AB. V is equal to IGG plus IGRS. IGRS plus IGG. Right? Take out IG common. If you take out IG common, then it becomes RS plus G, where G is the galvanometer resistance. Here, the required maximum value of V is 18 volts. And IG values, I have written IG 3 milliamperes. For this 3 milliamperes maximum current itself, it should show 18 volt maximum voltage, that is 18 volts, so that the scale can be properly calibrated and the full scale reflection will be corresponding to 18 volts. Then what should be the value of RS? That is the problem. So you take this IG to the left hand side. If you take IG to the left hand side, then it becomes V by IG. V by IG is equal to RS plus G. Therefore, RS is equal to resistance to be connected in series. RS is equal to V by IG minus G. V by IG minus G. You can write directly to this equation. You can come to this equation directly if you know the theory. It's just for your understanding, I have written 2-3 steps. If you do not remember this, then you have to go ahead by this combination of resistance, high resistance and galvanometer resistance. You will get the proper equation for high resistance. Okay. Now substitute V equal to 18 and IG 3 milliamperes and G equal to 12. You will get the result. Now just substitute the values of V, IG and G. Therefore, RS is equal to V. V is 18 volts divided by the maximum current that can withstand is 3 milliamperes. 3 into 10 raised to minus 3 amperes. We must convert it into SI unit. 3 into 10 raised to minus 3 milliamperes minus G. 12 ohms. Resistance of galvanometer is 12 ohms. So if you just calculate, it comes out to be 6, 3 1s are 3 6 are 6 into 10 raised to 3, that is 6000 minus 12. So 6000 minus 12, if you work it out, it comes out to be 5988 ohm. So a resistance of 5988, almost 6000 ohm, needs to be connected in series with the galvanometer. A proper color code resistor of nearly 6 kilo ohm is to be connected in series with galvanometer, that is 5988, to convert this galvanometer into voltmeter. Therefore, a high resistance of 5988 ohm is to be connected in series with galvanometer to convert it into voltmeter of desired range. Now look at this. RS, the resistance to be connected in series, depends on the maximum value of voltage to be read. It depends on the maximum value of voltage to be read. That is maximum value. In this case, it is 18. It may be 20. It may be 100 volts. It may be 500 volts. Okay. It depends on the range of voltage. Okay. And it depends on the current carried by the galvanometer. Sensitivity of a galvanometer. If the galvanometer has ability to carry more current, then the resistance to be connected in series will be of low value. If the galvanometer is having very high sensitivity, the maximum current that is passing through the galvanometer is less, of the order of say 3 milliamperes or 2 milliamperes or 1 milliamperes, then the resistance to be connected will be of high order. It also depends on galvanometer resistance. Okay. In the next session, we'll learn about conversion of galvanometer into an ammeter. You know, ammeter is a device which is used to measure the current. Milliamperes are there, milliammeters are there, ammeters are there, microammeters are there. Okay. Based on the range of current to be measured in a circuit, different range ammeters are available. Again, this ammeter is constructed using moving coil galvanometer. A moving coil galvanometer can be converted into an ammeter by connecting a very low resistance in parallel. If you connect high resistance in series, it becomes voltmeter. If you connect a very low resistance in parallel, then the scale is properly calibrated to read that particular range, then it is called as ammeter. So ammeter can be converted into galvanometer can be converted into ammeter by connecting a very low resistance in parallel. Such a low resistance connected in parallel is called as shunt. It is called as shunt resistance. Why should it be of low value? Again, the question arises, why should it be of very low value to be connected in parallel? The reason is, ammeter is the device which should be able to read the entire current flowing through the circuit. So ammeter is always taken in series. So when ammeter is taken in series, the current will be whatever current is there in the circuit, entire current flows through the ammeters. The entire current flows through the ammeter. So ammeter should be able to read the entire current. But the galvanometer has limitation. So galvanometer will not allow the entire current. Therefore, a low resistance is taken, connected in parallel, so that maximum current will be passing through that shunt resistance which is connected in parallel, and very less current, that is permitted current, will be flowing through galvanometer, just like 3 milliamperes in this case. So when that permitted current flows through the galvanometer, the scale of that galvanometer is properly calibrated so that it can read full scale deflection of a required range. So this will learn in the next video. Conversion of a moving coil galvanometer into an ammeter. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day.